All right, the next topic, a little bit of injury news because it's the White Sox. Somebody's always hurt. This comes from Daryl Van Schouwen of the Chicago Sun-Times. He initially tweeted out that Andrew Vaughn was getting an x-ray on his left foot today. Manager Pedro Grifol said, quote, "We're not anticipating anything wrong, but he was pretty sore," end quote. And then later on, Daryl Van Schouwen reported that the x-ray for Andrew Vaughn is negative. He has a left foot bruise. He is day-to-day, just like everyone else. And Andrew Vaughn, I think we need to have a little bit of a conversation regarding
Hmm.
Andrew Vaughn. Because this is his third season. And this surprised me. I was starting a deep dive, data dump. Here's something that I've been monitoring for a while now with Andrew Vaughn, and that is Vaughn's trouble against the spin, especially from right-handed pitching, because Vaughn's going to see more right-handed pitching than left-handed pitching over the course of a season. And this is something that he desperately needed to improve upon. And here's a stat that I couldn't believe. Andrew Vaughn's got more career plate appearances than Luis Robert. Did you know that, Jim?
I didn't, but it's surprising and then not.
Right, because of injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Vaughn's got more plate appearances than Robert. But technically speaking, Andrew Vaughn has more experience at the plate than Luis Robert Jr. Now, far cry in offensive production this year between Luis Robert and Andrew Vaughn. And I'm not going to do a numbers dump for podcast listeners. That's not very attractive listening. So for those that are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see as far as some of the visuals that I have created for Vaughn against the spin. And I'm just going to generalize this for the audio listeners. So Vaughn in his rookie year hit 155 batting average against sliders from right-handed pitching. And that improved a little bit in 2022, but he was batting 185 against sliders from right-handed pitching. And it's clear this is his kryptonite at the plate. It has improved a little bit in 2023. He's hitting 224 against sliders from right-handed pitching. But the one thing, even though there has been progress year over year, is that Vaughn's only slugging 293 against sliders from right-handers. And he's now whiffing 38.8% of the time. And his average exit velocity against sliders is 89 miles per hour, where his fastball average exit velocity is like 95 miles per hour. So here we are, the third season in. I wanted to see progress from Andrew Vaughn against spin. And to make things worse for him and all the batters in Major League Baseball, the sweeper data is just uglier. So if a right-handed pitcher throws the slider with more horizontal movement, Andrew Vaughn's batting 129 against sweepers. So if you are watching a White Sox game and Andrew Vaughn's in a lineup and you see a right-handed pitcher on the mound and Steve Stone or the color commentator says that this pitcher has a sweeper, that is really bad news for Andrew Vaughn because he's whiffing 41.7% of the time against sweepers. And the last stat that really shocked me this year, Andrew Vaughn is batting 188 when he's ahead in the count. And he's slugging just 400. Andrew Vaughn is posting his best numbers when the count is even, like the first pitch or 1-1 or 2-2. That is when Vaughn is doing his most damage. When he's ahead, he's hitting 188. Like that's just weird to me. And when the pitcher's ahead, he's hitting 250 and he's got a higher slugging percentage. He's slugging 404 when he's behind in the count. So just some really weird stuff coming from Andrew Vaughn. And again, Vaughn right now is dealing with a foot bruise, so that's not going to make things better. But this is his third season. He's got over 1,400 plate appearances. And I go back to my draft report back in 2019 when I highlighted a concern that I had that I don't know on how Vaughn is going to handle breaking pitches when he becomes a professional. He didn't get a lot of chance in the minor leagues to show that he made improvement. He gets shoved into the major leagues, and here we are now in 2023, Jim. And I am concerned to the point that I don't know if he's ever going to get better against spin. That he may just only be a fastball hitter, and that's really going to limit his offensive production.
Yeah. Next slide. No, it's part of it feels like, you mentioned that, Vaughn has more plate appearances in the majors than Robert has, but Robert has like 3 to 4 times the experience in the minors. So professionally, they're probably even if you weight them, or Robert's slightly ahead, but just the hard earned lessons, some of which Robert had to learn in the minors, like Vaughn never really had that opportunity. Like it's all been like at the major league level against the world's best pitching, against the world's best sliders, like figuring out year after year. And just there's some incremental progress. Take sweepers out of it, maybe not. But just it's we're watching it. We're just kind of sitting there just being like, okay, a little bit better. But also clock's ticking. Both comes the White Sox contention windows, the way the White Sox have prioritized him, the way his own, he's going to be entering arbitration. He's going to be like getting older, and who knows like how he'll age. If his old player skills aren't really coming up right now, like, and if he doesn't look like he's gonna be drawing a ton of walks or what have you, and if he's not running all that well, like how is he going to age? It's kind of scary to think about. So it seems like the White Sox pretty much thought he was ready-made as a hitter. The other thing I guess I'll go back to is like same thing with Tim Anderson, opposite field homers. Like I think they counted on more opposite field homers from him. And he doesn't really have either the swing or the levers to get the ball out to right field, like the plate coverage on the outside corner or just off the plate. Like maybe he just doesn't have the reach that other hitters do in getting that kind of just leverage with your swing to flip the ball out to right field. So if he needs to like rip the ball more, then it makes sense that like he needs the ball closer to him to get that, barrel around into it to lift the ball like to center field and left. So it could be a case where like, his swing looked like it was capable of all fields power, but the ball changed. All of a sudden you need a little bit more strength and just natural like exit velocity and backspin on the ball to get over the fences at the major leagues. Then that kind of takes away a big part of his game. And now he's trying to sell out for power. And if he has to sell out for power more and really make his swing more power oriented, then that probably changes just exactly what he can cover.
I know you don't like WAR, especially when it comes to first baseman, but Vaughn has played over 300 games. He's almost at 350. Yeah, he's at 355 games in his career. And his career WAR total is minus 0.8 on Fangraphs. Like he doesn't hit well enough to overcome his other shortfalls. And Matt in the YouTube comments section wrote to us, Andrew, you can't run, play defense, or hit at a demonstrable above average level. So what would you say you do here? And Matt raises a good point because Yohan Moncada was not in the Charlotte Knights lineup tonight on Thursday. And it makes me wonder if we could possibly see Moncada this weekend in Minneapolis. And when Moncada comes, I don't think they're going to ride him on the bench. I think Moncada would play, and he would play at third base. And then it raises the question, what do you do with Jake Burger? Do you DH him? Well, you kind of can't because Eloy needs to play. And if they're worried about his groin, well, he's going to be the DH. He's not going to play in the outfield. Mm-hmm. So suddenly you don't have a spot for Jake Burger. And this is where I would make the argument that maybe with the foot bruise, you give more time off to Andrew Vaughn in this upcoming series against Minneapolis. You have Jake Burger grab the first baseman glove and move over from third to first. But going into the offseason, man, Vaughn's just like inviting this conversation of who would you rather have your regular first baseman be, Andrew Vaughn or Jake Burger? And what kind of drives me wild with all of these posts about the White Sox being sellers, like all these articles and blogs and columns that the White Sox have untouchables and Andrew Vaughn's one of the untouchables. And I know we've asked this question many times, Jim, but why? Like, what are they seeing that we don't? Like, the data doesn't lie on Baseball Savant, and we're not twisting it to fit some type of narrative that we have. Everyone can see that this guy struggles against spin, and spin's more important than ever. And to compare again between Vaughn and Luis Robert, yeah, Luis Robert has a high whiff rate against sliders, but Luis Robert is batting over 270 against sliders, and he's slugging well over 500. As a matter of fact, against right-handed pitching this year, The White Sox as a team have hit 15 homers against sliders. Luis Robert has 8 of them. And he just demonstrated Wednesday night against Justin Verlander on a pitcher's pitch, a slider in the outside corner, and Robert demolished it. So I know I sigh, but they spent the 3rd overall pick on Andrew Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to hit, and I've always worried that maybe the White Sox, in their poor planning, would break what was supposed to be one of their top hitting prospects. And that concern becomes more real with every passing day. Like, I need a hot month for Andrew Vaughn to feel better about myself regarding Vaughn, but I don't know what he is in the upcoming future, and I still don't understand why he's untouchable.
Yeah, I'm not a swing doctor, but like when you watch Luis Robert hit a pitch and you watch Andrew Vaughn hit a pitch and you see like the, Robert's ability to flip a slider out to left field, and like Vaughn tries the same thing and ends up 15 feet shorter on the warning track. Same thing of like opposite field drives, the way Robert's flies just kind of carry and Vaughn just kind of don't. Like, to me, that kind of sums up the whole just swing leverage and the levers that Robert has with the longer arms, reach, bat path that like Vaughn doesn't have, and the way that power doesn't come as easily to him. And one thing, I'm looking at Vaughn's numbers here for July: 188, 204, 208, his slash line, 15 strikeouts, 0 walks in 49 plate appearances. And the thing is, like, walks had come back to him a little bit, and he had a decent divide with his walks and strikeouts, to where like that part of his game seemed to be coming along, like the guy who makes plate appearances a little more challenging to pitchers. Like, he was showing that, and now it's disappeared on him. And his tendency for second half fades makes me think like, yeah, put him on the injured list. I know the White Sox hate doing that to anybody who doesn't have to miss, like, if they're going to be anything less than 10 days out, like, they will not put him on the injured list. They'd rather have him sit for 8 days rather than put him on 10-day IL. But I think I'd rather see Vaughn on the injured list right now to give him a breather. Like, he seems to wear down, and if he has like a identifiable physical issue, you can hang an injured list stint on to where nobody's gonna be questioning it. Like, why not? Why not the added benefit? You need to play Berger anyway. If he's playing well, you need to play Jimenez. If he's playing well, and you have to protect his legs. So yeah, I mean, give him those opportunities. They're, in due time, like, probably Jimenez will get hurt again, and those at bats will come back. So you only have to wait a little bit. Moncada might get hurt again, because I'm not buying that his back is all the way back. A lot of ways to get guys in the lineup. So if Vaughn has to be the one who takes a seat, you can probably do it without like insulting him or like giving up on him. But yeah, I really don't get the untouchable part. And yeah, I've seen, people in the Sox seeing comments saying like, well, maybe he's not like untouchable in the classic sense, but like the White Sox aren't going to move him for anything less than his value. But like, that's basically everybody. And like, like Moncada, they won't. Like, his value is very low, but they won't move him for less than his value. Just teams like he has no value, so teams aren't offering anything. Like, that's kind of just, when you mention somebody's untouchable in the same breath as Dylan Cease and Luis Robert and even Eloy Jimenez, although I'd be open to dealing him too, based on his inability to stay on the field or provide defensive value. I don't think he's that far away from Vaughn to where like, he's safe and Vaughn isn't. It just seems like it is a case where they really want the guy they drafted 3rd overall to be that guy. And I guess fortunately they probably haven't passed up any killer deals or like any awesome trade windows to where like they could have moved him like Gordon Beckham with the years he was like a top prospect or top young player, and then he kind of faded into like a defense first infielder utility guy. Like, there wasn't that window to where like trading Vaughn made a whole lot of sense. So they can probably just keep waiting to see if like he catches fire and then like see what happens. But the question is whether he catches fire, I think, is an open one, especially like if he has another year where he fades in the second half and just hasn't proven that he can actually survive a 6-month grind and provide offense that you expect from a first baseman.
He's 25, Jim.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 25-year-old that's struggling to survive the Major League Baseball grind in his 3rd season.
Well, I mean, like, it's Carlos Rodon kind of the same way. Like, they rushed in the majors and did not actually have him like develop a routine. develop like healthy habits that kept him functional for 6 months. Like he didn't learn that until like his back was against the wall and he was non-tendered. Yeah. And like Vaughn is kind of the same thing. Like they just rushed him through. Like he had like 50 something games in the minors, his first year, but just like he had not proven he could survive a 6-month grind. And he seems like he's just getting by, like, nursing back an injury or trying to battle through leg issues, like time and time again, like dealing with issues with his base. And, maybe that would manifest itself even if you're doing a full season in the minors, but like, because he's fighting this 2-front war between like doing his best against major league pitching and also, managing his body for longer and longer seasons for him as he plays more and more. Like it's hard to separate one from the other, and maybe they go hand in hand, and just it's going to take like another situation like Rodon experience to where like by the very end it'll click. And part of the reason it didn't click is because the White Sox bypass opportunities to block him and make him earn his way up and didn't.
Yeah, if he is untouchable, if he is part of their core, if they're hoping that they're going to turn this around in 2024 or even in 2025, this is a problem. You got to figure out Andrew Vaughn. You have to assist him here, that he stays on the field. And not only does he stay on the field, he's an impact bat, because he's not an impact bat. And he's not an impact bat because every right-handed pitcher and every team in Major League Baseball knows that after you throw a fastball, and if he doesn't put it into play, it's spin city, baby. Just throw sliders and sweepers at him. He can't hurt you. And he's got a lot of work to do in the offseason. But to your point, he goes into arbitration next year. He's in his 4th year of team control, and then it's his 5th year, and then it's his 6th year, and that's his walk year. Like, we're halfway through the team control for Andrew Vaughn. We still don't know how good he is, but he hasn't been very good in his first 3 years in the majors.
Yeah,
like,
or we hope
crazy.
we don't know how good he is, I think is the way I'd put it. Like, I hope he's better than this, but progress has been difficult to maintain.
Right. So we can throw away all the excuses. Well, he played in the outfield last year. That's not a viable excuse. There's something else going on. And I think it is this data. It's this spin. It's how the teams are attacking him. And Vaughn is still having difficulty countering that or making the adjustments to be able to do that.